on the side of the bottom half of the table. They've got to fix what's broken.
Yarnan with a double kill, turns on to Freeze. He wants to join the kill party. 4 members of the Wolves are down.
We always do a lot of bad moves that we shouldn't. That's something we need to fix, and that's probably something we need to focus a lot more on.
And Vander realizes too late that it's going to be a huge amount of trouble. Tempered Fate gets thrown down right in the middle as Rocket are scattered to the wind.
I just feel like we have to find what's suiting us, what we are comfortable with, instead of adapting to what others play.
Well, Enrated going to get focused down, double kill for Werlip, and it will be a double kill for Frederick as well after SK started the fight.
We obviously have to work like much faster than what we're doing now.
Joval's coming, but the fight may already be over. Tabs, Dexter, Froggen, they are all down!
Gentlemen, and welcome to the LCS studios in Berlin, Germany, where we're entering the home stretch leading to the summer playoffs. As you can see, all seats in the house are filled with our excited fans. Just a minute ago, they were getting ready for the show, and they're with some graggy ice, getting excited, and they're the Unicorns of Love, signing the hat of the most loved champion in the league. Timo, I'm sure anyone can echo that. And they're Fnatic chilling a bit before their game, talking to each other, and their coach in the couches here right outside. They need to be relaxed before they go into their first game of the day versus Gambit Gaming, who are setting up their Cabo Shard in the middle of your screen, looking to make something happen and put up a battle versus Fnatic. I'm Eve, your Shock supporter, here with European Challenger Series caster James Stress O'Leary and #1 Bard fanboy EU, Mitch Kreppel-Voorspoels, as we embarked on the back half of the 2015 summer split. And well, look, oh god, well, we're going to do that again. Let's look at where the teams stand with only 9 games left to play in the regular season, because it is quite exciting at the top of the tables, unchanged, but a little bit more shine to their #1 spot, in my opinion. Fnatic showing that they are truly the best of the best.
Yeah, Fnatic just fantastic play so far, and they've done it in a fashion that indicates that they don't have any plans of stopping real soon. And right now, nothing is stopping or preventing Fnatic from going 18-0, and that would be a first in Europe. Obviously, still 9 games to go, but they've looked so dominant.
Definitely. H2K and OG are also in that top 3, but H2K, a thing or two to think about after that game versus Fnatic. And then the middle of the table, yesterday we said clear 3 and then 7 at the bottom, but there are a couple of teams in the middle of the table that are definitely having them eyes on that playoff spot.
Yeah, Giants and the Unicorns are now looking for that slightly more reliable playoff spot, not having to fight for it later into the season. So they're kind of fighting for that 4th, 5th spot in the standing. So I'm interested to see how those two teams are going to progress through the next coming weeks.
Yeah, and then at the bottom of the table, yesterday, Elements versus SK. It wasn't the best match we've ever seen, but for Elements, that definitely must be a step in the right direction for them, getting that win even though it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, obviously the bottom 5 teams, or bottom 7 teams, as we said yesterday, are obviously relatively close in the standing. So yes, the win wasn't pretty. Yes, SK could have won a game, but it matters a lot for Elements, not only for their standings, also for their motivation and just being able to claw your way back into the top 6 for the playoffs. And that's what a lot of these teams want right now.
Yeah, definitely. As we look at the games that are coming up for us today, our very first game of the day is Fnatic coming up versus Gambit. As said, we have Rocket versus the Unicorns of Love, Copenhagen Wolves versus OG, and closing out the day with H2K versus SK Gaming. That will be our last game of the day and also of the week. Of course, if you want a full eye on the schedule, head over to lolesports.com as we close in on the playoffs and get all your info, the stats, the standings from pro leagues around the globe, and keep tabs on the competition as we close in on the 2015 World Championship, getting closer and closer, and it's going to be right here in Europe. Super exciting. And with rematches on the horizon, we want to know who you think deserves a second chance. Tweet at LOL Esports and let us know which team do you think will have a late season surge in the standings and why. Gentlemen?
Well, I think for me, it may be a little too early to tell whether it's a surge as such, but I think Rocket looked a lot smoother in yesterday's game. Granted, they still have a lot of issues to fix, but I'm kind of quietly confident that Rocket may be able to start putting a couple more wins on the board.
Hey, they're on a 1-game win streak right now.
Well, yeah.
Super.
No, I honestly don't see any clear candidate for that mid-season surge, but I just want to compliment a team that actually surged already. Giants coming into the season, they were guaranteed relegation candidate almost, and they've just had this steady progression. They've almost nailed the fundamentals, the basics in my opinion, and they've also finally found an identity that's not around Pepinero carrying. They have this double poke composition with double tier, and the way they stay in the early game is mostly due to Whirlip on that split push with Shyvana, with Jackson, maybe with another champion if they both get banned out later. So I like what the Giants are doing, and it's phenomenal that they're this high in the standings, and honestly, nobody expected that.
Definitely good for them, doing a lot better than last split and maybe a big contender for the playoff spot. For now, though, it is time to focus in on today's very first game between the long-standing organizations of the LCS, Fnatic and Gambit Gaming. Let's start by taking a look at that lineup for Fnatic. Still undefeated, Huni, Reignover, Febiven, Reckless, Yellow Star, and their coach, Daylor. En route to 18-0, possibly, but this team could, well, play the spoiler, and they've done that before. Gambit Gaming within the top lane, Cabo Shard jungling Diamond Prox, Betsy, Forgiven, Gosu Pepper, and their coach, Shans. Well, as said, the difference between these two teams couldn't be bigger at the moment because Fnatic is on an absolute tear. So the question is for me, what can Gambit do to neutralize most of the threats coming out of Gambit?
I think it's very difficult to look for a single area for Gambit to focus on Fnatic because Fnatic are just such a well-rounded team. The converse to that point, though, is that Fnatic are very good at finding a single weakness in the enemy team and exploiting it. We saw it yesterday against Odoamne and H2K, completely freezing him out of the game. In today's game, I expect them to put a lot of pressure onto Diamond Prox. The junglers, Reignover and Diamond Prox, are so different when it comes to where they're needed on the map, and you can really see that when it comes to their playstyle and their kill participation. Reignover is free to go to any lane ever and just kind of do what he wants, counter jungle at the same time, whereas Diamond Prox, he's needed in so many of his lanes in different situations that he's actually only able to get into a few small skirmish situations, and it means he has a lower kill participation overall.
We're all a little tongue-tied today. We still got to warm up.
Yeah, we still got to get into the thing of things. But honestly, in my opinion, Reignover is just a better version of Diamond Prox right now. In every area, he excels. And while that matchup might be interesting to watch, what worries me the most is the draft, especially for Gambit here. Yesterday, they picked the Corki, leaving the Kalista open. They went for the blind pick Nidalee, while both Tier 1 jungles were open. I'm okay if you want to play Nidalee, but you know, you don't have to rush it. You know your opponents are going to pick a Tier 1 jungle anyways. Why pick it blind? And it just... They pick those champions, and that's okay. You can go off meta, in my opinion, but then at least play to your strengths. Play to your power spikes and make something happen. Gambit ended that game with only 3 kills, I believe. So very, very poor performance, and I'm not quite sure if it's on Shans, if he wants these monkey drafts. I doubt it. I feel like it's more the Gambit players sticking to these unique picks, and yeah, it has worked in the past, but it's not working anymore.
And they will definitely have to have a strong draft, as said, up against Fnatic. Yesterday, we were all looking at the game versus H2K, kind of saying if they have a big margin in beating H2K, Fnatic will look to be unbeatable. And even in the lane swaps, they did very good.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stat on your screen. 1.3k goal up at 10 minutes in a lane swap against H2K. While that may not seem impressive, if you don't know what the actual stat for lane swaps for H2K was, they were up, I believe, over 2,500 gold at 10 minutes in their lane swaps on average. So HTK was the best lane swapping team in Europe, and Fnatic crushed them.
Yeah, Fnatic played and beat H2K at their own game in yesterday's game. But at this point, we talked a little bit earlier about how Gambit have played spoiler before. Yeah. Funny things happen when you put the pressure on Gambit. They suddenly can turn up out of nowhere, so you can never go into game underestimating Gambit.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of times now we've underestimated Gambit, and they've came up with a crazy winning streak or beating a top team, so we will see. And as we kick it over to the caster desk for Game 1, we'll hear from Gosu Pepper on Gambit's odds against a dominant Fnatic.
We already, I think, showed week 2 we played against Fnatic. I think we did the biggest fight against them, and even after games they came to us and said like we played really good and they didn't expect us to like do such a fight for the game. And I think for week 4 they're gonna prepare for super hard for us, because they know that if they slack a bit and play not 100% or even not 90%, they'll most likely lose.
Well, there you go. If Fnatic don't bring 100%, maybe Gambit will be picking up a win. We'll find out shortly. I'm QuickShot. He's Deficio. We're going to be manning the desk for the first half of the day as Fnatic are going to look to break the European LCS win streak record. They've matched their record from spring 2013, 9 games undefeated. This is number 10.
And Gambit, well, they want to play spoiler, of course. They want to ruin the whole thing again. I like what Eddie was saying here in the feature. You know, how last time they played, it was a fairly close game. Gambit had some good moves. It gives great confidence and also shows what Gambit can do if they perform well. it just seems like there's so many things stopping them from performing that well as we know they can do.
So we'll find out if Gambit can pull it together, because as we said, the last time Fnatic had a 9-game winning streak was 3 years ago rather, and it was Gambit that stopped them. Gambit in week 2 when they last played meta champions. The only reason I bring that up, they're not really playing meta champions in recent weeks. Yesterday, a Corki Nidalee first pick, despite Rek'Sai being available, despite the likes of Gragas. So
Taric later.
Taric to counter Kalista. What will Gambit prioritize today? Deficio, that's the question you have to answer.
Well, I mean, it's going to be impossible to say. We have seen them play, as you just said yourself, the meta picks. First of all, most likely going to see quite a lot of bans towards Capuchard. Once again, Fnatic is a team that likes to leave a lot of strong picks open because they can play all of them themselves and then target ban towards individual players. Last time they faced Gambit as well, it was just camp Capuchard in the early game almost all... Yeah, the first 15-20 minutes.
And yesterday, if memory serves, the Yasuo was banned out towards Gambit. Not something we've seen run before, but we were expecting that to be maybe a scrim champion or a solo queue champion.
Must have been.
And let's quickly catch up. So Shen, Fizz, Ryze, all off the table for the effective top laners, as well as Rek'Sai, and now Betsy's Ahri.
Okay, Betsy had Ahri last time, and it's been one of the few champions where he's been able to win his lane. Same goes for yesterday. And it is one of those where he can snowball. And therefore, Fnatic just plays it super safe, bans it away again. There's a lot of strong picks open. Olaf being banned away. It's been the funny thing for Reignover. He has 3 tier 1 junglers as the only guy in Europe. Because he has that Olaf up there with the Rek'Sai and Gragas, at least for him. Gragas is open. Will Fnatic first pick it?
Echo's open, Kalista's open, Sivir's open.
Just remember, you don't necessarily have to take that Kalista early on. Even Sivir could go through. I want to see Forgiven play it, because he did last time. We know he can take Sivir. It could fit really well with what Gambit wants to do. Push up the lanes, then group up to 5-on-5 team fights. I mean, that would fit in perfectly for Gambit.
It was an uninspiring performance at 1-2-1 the last time Forgiven ran it. However, if you're not grouping with your team and the team is falling behind, it's difficult to get the utmost. Fnatic using a lot of time to decide what their first pick will be, considering how many champions are available.
Right.
Their final lock-in, it is going to be the Gragas considering the jungle bans.
And again, you also have to consider, if you're a Fnatic, okay, do we want to risk Gambit taking the likes of Kalista? Do we just expect him to not play it? It was the same yesterday for Origin. Turned out they got everything. Alistar first pick, Kalista later. Gragas is very, very standard. When 2 junglers has been banned away, he's obviously left as the tier 1 jungler. We know Diamond likes to play Nidalee, but it's not always we like to see him play Nidalee.
I particularly don't like to see it. Yesterday had a pretty unimpressive performance. Not really in the right place at the right time. What will they prioritize today? So it was the Sivir is locked in, and Betsy will get his hands on Azir. Also denying that from Feathervin.
Yeah, I really like this from Gambit. We go back to more standard. Sivir can be such a good pick for them, even though they know it's going to be into a Kalista. That's what they're expecting at least. Just for the team fights in the mid game, because what Gambit does really well is getting down these early towers, strong laning phase all around. But then once these outer turrets are gone, it's like Gambit just stops. Like they don't know how to advance to the tier 2 towers. They don't really know how to get to that Baron. And that's where they tend to struggle quite a lot against the better teams. Sivir can help Azir take away from Febiven. Also champion Betsy can perform a bit more team fight presence on. He's not relying on having to snowball the laning phase, as we often see when he plays Ahri.
And of course for Fnatic, as we've mentioned, that Echo was up, as is Rumble, as is Hecarim. Huni's going to have a lot of options for whatever he wants to run in that top lane. Febiven, what is he going to play into this Azir? We've sort of seen the Vladimir into Azir as the... I don't want to use the word counter, because it's not really counter, but as a reply pick.
Yeah.
But do Fnatic want to run a Vladimir, or does Febiven want to play something safer? Jace, we saw the hover, and we saw it played yesterday as well.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic performance. He's the first guy who really showed how strong Jace can be here in 5-11, so I love his performance on that one. Echo obviously can go to the mid lane. It is a flex pick, even though Huni has the guy who's been playing it from for Fnatic here. But yeah, I mean, when you have a team that plays every single meta champion, every single champion that's considered tier 1 in the current meta, against Gambit, who's, you know, been a bit hit and miss in that department, you see Fnatic just say, you know, we're just going to leave almost everything open because we know we can get close to every single one of the picks, at least in the first 3 picks for themselves. And that's what they have here, Echo, Gragas, Kalista. I mean, it's insane for Fnatic.
So we do see Diamond has locked in that Lee Sin. Going back to a champion again, he's not played this summer, but Diamond made quite a name for himself on Lee Sin many, many moons ago. That was a different version of Diamond Prox. Diamond in summer this year, a shadow of his former presence. Cabochard on Hecarim yesterday didn't find the opportunities. His team actually all of Gambit didn't find an opportunity for Cabochard's Hecarim to get those teleport engages yesterday. Let's see if they can do it a little bit better with the Sivir, with the Azir. They've got more tools to play with.
I want to talk about their potential support option coming in for Fnatic. If they don't go for the Alistar, even though they can go Alistar Kalista, to me, it really tells me they want to have a strong 2v2 lane so they can put Huni one-on-one against Cabochard, potentially with this Echo here, because that matchup is... It can be fairly tricky in the start for the Echo, but once you start getting some items, that's where you start outscaling the Hecarim in the one-on-one, and you can become a really strong split pusher. So Fnatic not going for Alistar despite it being open, simply because they want to have the possibility to take the 2v2 lane against Forgiven. It was a lane they lost last time they faced each other, but Reckless also played Ezreal, and he was playing extremely passive. The plan was basically sit and farm while we camp Cabochard over and over. He's now playing a champion with no flash. So that might be the strategy once again for Fnatic.
Yeah, and for Fnatic, they have rounded out their team composition. A lot of peel and kiting. A little bit of poke there from, well, a lot of poke from Jace, actually. As well as that Time Winder from Echo in Huni's hands. The amount of zone control that Fnatic will have with that Echo parallel convergence, with Janna, even with Gragas barrels, we'll see if Gambit's engage with Sivir and Hecarim can get ahead. Because if Fnatic fall behind, Gambit have the tools to keep punishing.
Yeah, that's the thing when you have that Sivir. You can always control the tempo of the game because you have that ability to really force team fights or quick rotations. Gambit not going Alistar either want more hard engage because they see, okay, Fnatic here, we need to get to that Jace here, we need to be able to catch Reckless on Kalista in the back line. So we need more tools to get there. Alistar could have done it as well, but they feel like they want that instant stun coming in from Gosu, Pepper, and Annie. So Gambit, very all-in composition. Only real safety in that case is going to be the Azir, but he can even play very aggressive himself if he finds an opening.
What I like about these two team compositions is they both have the tools to defeat their opponents. Gambit have got enough hard engage to get through the poke and the disengage from Fnatic if they get ahead. For Fnatic, they have enough poke and disengage that if they get ahead, they can deal with the engage. So I feel the early game, the first 10, 15 minutes is going to be so crucial for both of these teams.
Will always be important for Gambit. They are a team that still relies on that laning phase. They have players like Cabochard and Forgiven who shine in that phase of the game. The top teams in Europe, they've gone away from this early game focus. It's more about what you can do in the mid game, unless you're lane swapping. Gambit, it's still about laning phase. In this case here, when you have Cabochard on Hecarim, again, he's running Ignite. He wants that early Trinity Force so he can be powerful in the start of the game. Let's see if Gambit can use it to get the lead, and then use that Sivir to really snowball it.
So a lot of pressure going to be on Gambit's decision-making this game. They want to try and stop Fnatic from breaking that win streak record. Can Fnatic go 10-0 here in the summer split? Jump on Twitter and let us know. Hashtag FNC win or hashtag GMB win. The flags are lit up. They're across the bases. Fnatic want to start off the back half of summer with yet another win.
And we see another comp here from Fnatic where they're not running directly with any hard engage, but instead they have so much mobility. You're going to have a Janna who's going to get a talisman. You have the gate coming in from Jace. And that's enough to speed up your team, to send Rain over in to knock someone back, to send Huni in to start the fight. He can always jump back to his ulti as well. And then suddenly that's how Fnatic can play around the map. Gambit on the other side, obviously, is the TP Hecarim and the flash stun from Gosu Pepper here. So we might have a very explosive game once we get into these team fights. Gosu Pepper also starting the boots again. He likes to do it. It makes him a lot weaker in the laning phase. Oh, well, it makes him weaker in the laning phase. But he likes it because it opens up his potential
Saved
to
his
roam.
life yesterday.
That's true. That's true. But he likes it for the roaming. And also, because he's most likely expecting teams to start swapping against Gambit just because they rely so much on that laning phase. And then suddenly the boost does a lot for him. If he gets a camp at level 1 and he just gets full XP, gets level 2, he can go mid lane set up an early gank. Sadly for him, Febiven is running a cleanse, and I really like that against an Annie. That's going to be important later on in the game.
So for Febiven, we'll find out if he can make it. We do see Fnatic have invaded this Janna third time in Summer. 0 kills, 0 deaths, 29 assists. As Yellowstar's going to get the information from that ward, and we'll see how Fnatic decide to set up their lanes. The captain for Fnatic in a good position. Ooh, this is scary.
Don't tell anyone.
Gosu and Forgiven. You see the stun is prepped. Gonna move in and steal away these Krugs. What is it going to cost Fnatic? You see Reignover and Huni holding hands, and you can see Diamond with the assistance of Cabo also in the jungle.
So basically here, we mentioned this in Champ Select, how Fnatic took a ranged support for multiple reasons. One of them was the fact that we then go for that 2v2 lane with the Kalista. They spot Gambit on the top side, move up there, and also they want that one-on-one. Even though it can be a bit tricky for Huni in the start, they trust that he can survive it. He gets his Morel Nomicon, he gets towards that Lich Bane, and suddenly he starts out-trading Capuchard. And then it's going to be more about what Gambit can do in these big team fights here, where Fnatic suddenly has a bit of a split-pushing threat through Huni.
So both junglers have swapped jungles for the time being. Reignover in Gambit's half, Diamond in Fnatic's half. Early level 2 there for both Reckless and Yellowstar. Gosu still sitting at level 1, and you can see the respect from Forgiven and Gosu backing away. But this is what Fnatic, this is what Gambit prefer. They look for those standard lanes. They'll look to see which jungler can have a bigger impact in the games. As we see Diamond may be able to jump onto Febiven if he's spotted.
Yeah, normally this is what Gambit prefers. But in this case here, it's gonna be tricky still against a Kalista Janna lane. Reckless already playing very aggressive. We can see Forgiven falling behind. As we mentioned earlier as well, he won the lane last time, but that was Sivir into an Ezreal. So he didn't really have any competition in that lane. Now, it's very, very different. Gambit will be happy though getting Capuchard also in that solo lane. He's not running Smite, so he wants the laning phase, he wants to rush that Trinity Force. Diamond is already on the bottom side, but it's full HP on Huni.
So we do see this very aggressive push from Fnatic is down on the bottom half of the map, as you've mentioned, Deficio. Diamond did actually back away. We'll touch on the rest of the map in a moment, as Reckless's KDA is pretty impressive. But as we said, this is the team that is 9-0. It helps keep your numbers looking ridiculous.
Pretty decent KDA though.
Once upon a time, Deficio held a KDA record.
It was like 5.6.
Those were dark days
it was
in the European LCS.
Very impressive.
Deficio holds the KDA record.
It was also the time when you would play Nami and Sona and just press heal and then run away. Like
Wasn't Zyra popular back then as well?
She was, but you had to land your skill shots.
Grandpa in the corner here. So we are actually going to look at some of the other lanes. There are other players in this game. Huni and Cabo. Even in CS, Cabo's got that sustain. Not really under any pressure yet. We did see Reignover briefly move into the river and place a ward. As with many Fnatic games, a little bit of a helping hand from Reignover onto Huni.
Diamond again is in the jungle of Fnatic. He's trying to sneak in behind. Ward, jump over. Let's see what he can do.
Wow, he's jumped in. He's caught Yellowstar out. Yellowstar's forced to flash away. Summoner spell secured. Flash and heal for just the exhaust. Advantage Gambit.
And if you look at the bot lane and the mid lane here for Gambit, they've been pushing them into the tower of Fnatic. So it has allowed Diamond, first of all, to move into the bot side jungle. And once he's been in there, place a few wards, maybe clear away a few camps, he gets some information on where Reignover could be, and that opens up his chance to then move into the top side jungle and keep sneaking in behind Fnatic's lanes here. Forced a flash. But that's going to be it for now. They're still losing that top lane pretty hard in the Kalista Sivir.
12 CS there or thereabouts. Down, that is Forgiven. As we keep a glance on this middle lane, Betsy and Febiven, both sort of poke-centric champions. And if Febiven takes too much damage, he could be in trouble. He's already got himself that tier. Slowly going to be stacking that one up. We're not expecting too much to happen from this lane except for a misplay or jungler intervention.
Right. The only thing that's going to happen is Betsy can keep pushing it into the tower. He has more tools to clear the waves. and also trade where he can hide behind his own minions. His soldiers will always just go in and start hitting FIPEVEN. So he should be able to keep control. And again, that's why Lee Sin pick suddenly starts shining a bit more, because if you have a winning mid lane, it just opens up so many more ways for you to invade in. You can play more aggressive, you can have these wards in the river that Gambit has just placed now, and you can start clearing out the standard Fnatic wards, because what they always like to do is take over the river completely. That opens up for them to start roaming from the mid lane with both the jungler and of course FIPEVEN, and then they can pre-plan plays a lot easier because they're always going to move first, and they're not going to be spotted doing it. But this time around, Gambit has cleared out a few of them, placed their own ward, so it should slow down Fnatic at least a little bit. Now Reignover though, it's going to be spotted moving in behind. There's still 2 flashes for Gambit.
So Gambit do react the moment Reignover came into sight. He should be aware of this. He's not moved just yet. Forgiven and Gosu Pepper treading the line. They might be in trouble. Forgiven is going to get caught out. Spell shields at least one of the spells, and no summon is blown.
Just want to highlight the position Gambit had here when the gank came in. Notice how it was Forgiven who ran close to where Reignover was coming from because he had that spell shield. Gosu Pepper just walked a bit closer to the wall up on the top side, so he didn't have to burn a flash. Spell shield just took care of it. Nice little move from Gambit, reading the situation and making Reignover waste a little bit of time.
And of course, we have to highlight that Gambit are holding themselves even for the time being, despite all the challenges mentioned regarding the draft and the lane matchups. But Fnatic have actually secured first blood. Oh, that was a little close. Fnatic have secured first blood in 7 of their 9 games. And it's going to be interesting to see where Reignover can impact. Not playing Olaf this time around, it was banned. And Cabo's got the first roam.
Yeah, another roam once again. Bot lane has been pushed in from Cabo shot. He's looking for FIPEVEN here.
Well, he's going to be able to at least get a knock on before a knock back. FIPEVEN uses that Mercury Hammer to boot Cabo away, and Cabo's just going to go back to lane. So, small advantages here for Gambit. Got a CS advantage in the top lane, a little bit down for Forgiven Sivir. He's picked up that pickaxe and Avarice Blade. So going to have that power trough until he gets the BF sword.
Look what Huni's doing though for himself. He knows he's having a hard time in the lane. So he gets very early home guards, which might set up a great play from with teleports. And if he can then try and snowball someone else on his team, or maybe pick up a kill from that, it could really benefit him. Or if he's forced back to base multiple times because he's already been pushed down in his lane, home guard as well can do some work. But it's something he likes to do, and something we quite often see from him. It's a lot about the team play. It's all about what you can do as a 5-man unit with your teleports, more than just the individual outplay. That's just an added bonus if you're Huni.
So the Fisher, we're about to hit 10 minutes. We've seen lanes being pushed in, but not a massive amount of tower threat yet. And both Reignover and Diamond have been relatively quiet. Diamond has got some flashes though, so he's keeping himself relevant.
And we have 2 junglers now who needs to decide, okay, do we want to play around the strong side of the map first? In this case, Diamond can play around Caboshot in the bot lane or Betsy in the mid lane. Or if you're Reignover, you want to play around the Kalista Janna lane up in the top side because you have an item advantage. You mentioned earlier how Forgiven forced to go Avarice Blade, which means you can keep pushing in that lane and win the 3v3 fights. Or do you want to go down and try and assist some of these lanes who are struggling a little bit, make sure they can catch up in farm? I think for Fnatic's side, if they want to snowball the game, they want to go top here. They want to pressure in these 2 guys.
Yeah, they definitely do. Fisher, if you take a look at the top lane, Yellow Stars used both his Flash and Ignite. We saw Forgiven's heal and exhaust from Gosu Pepper, so there was definitely a trade off camera that we didn't catch. Summoner spells were used. Reignover is in trouble. He gets caught by the Sonic Wave, and Diamond gets knocked backwards. Reignover's going to keep himself alive for a few seconds longer.
That's a TP top lane from Caboshot.
It is C. Let's take a look. Onslaught of Shadows. Caboshot. He's going to pull the trigger this time round. The focus is Reckless. He's going to get knocked backwards as the Monsoon is a little late to the party. Reckless will be taken out for first blood as Caboshot does what he couldn't yesterday. Huni has teleported in, but he's trying to run away. Chrono breaks back to base, and Yellow Star survives by the skin of his teeth. Diamond wants more. No mana for Reignover. The resonating strike comes through, and the ricochet will bounce the damage across Fnatic. Gambit have 2 kills. The Sonic Wave will not net them a 3rd, and it looks like they get away.
I love the read here from Diamond. We mentioned how Reignover has to make a decision. Do I want to go and try and snowball my top lane? Do I want to try and help Huni down the bottom lane? He went for the top side, and Diamond was there waiting for him. He sat ready. First, he jumps over the Baron wall with the first fight, against Rainover, and then still around that top side with Capital teleporting in. Gambit suddenly has multiple members. 2 kills, top tower down in a losing lane matchup, by the way. Forgiven has been behind all lane long, and that's where Gambit strikes. Really, really well played.
Well, definitely the case. Cabo gonna get interrupted for a moment. Nothing really gained here for Fnatic. But what a great play. Gambit starting this match off as massive underdogs. Remember, Fnatic undefeated in the first half of the split. 9-0 coming into this game. However, they are only 700 gold down. Those CS advantages in AD carry, a little bit in the mid lane, is actually quite sizable at this stage. And that's with the fact Gambit have a tower as well. So for Gambit, let's see if they can use some of this control to speed up other objectives.
And this early game is really where Gambit still shines. In the last 7 games where it's been standard lanes, like 2v2, even though if it's top or bottom, doesn't matter. Gambit has gotten the first tower in 6 out of 7 of those games. They got another one here. Pick up the first dragon as well for themselves. So very well played. It's all from Diamond reading and Gambit reading, okay, where is Fnatic going to put the pressure? We expect to be topside. Yellowstar had already burned his flash. And then instantly they strike. That was a very aggressive teleport coming in from Coppershot as well. Mid lane, we mentioned how Betsy can keep pushing it down. Faberman can go even in farm, but he can never really push out the Azir. So 2 towers down now for Gambit. They can swap down to this bottom lane. Now Sivir starts shining because the map opens up. She has more things she can do. And
Radar, he gets knocked away! Betsy was not hoping for the Shurima shuffle to do that. Rainover's going to keep landing those slows with the barrels, but the Rise and the Conquering Sands will give Gambit their 3rd kill. Parallel convergence, here comes Huni. He's not going to get the stun, but he will get the slow. Time Wind is on. Chrono Break will be available in a moment or two, as Huni's going to need it to stay alive. He flashes away. No, I'm lying. The cooldown's much longer. Huni is going to be able to get out clean. And no kill in reply, only that Sun Disc from Betsy. And a very, very confident play all across the map here for Gambit.
Love the play from Betsy on the Azir. He's been looking great, honestly, all game long. One is laning phase, sees an opening and goes straight in forward. Gambit, they want to get that BF Soul Forgiven, then they can really start turning on the power, but about 500 gold for that to be available. So he's gonna have to play a little bit passive up until that point, but it's more about what the rest of Gambit can do. Coppershot has a kill now, had that free farm in lane, kept mentioning how Hecarim will win in the start, but then later on, once Echo starts getting more and more items and Hecarim starts going in towards the tanky route, that's where he suddenly can really trade that effective. But the fact he's going Trinity Force on a full line Ignite is a big bonus for Coppershot in their one-on-one.
So let's see if that Ignite comes to help. Huni's got Chrono Break available this time round. He's going to try get away. Onslaught of Shadows to chase, and Huni's down. Caboshot and Diamond easily winning that fight. Great Tibbers from Gosu. He's going to save his life against Rainover.
And Gambit here, they go from defending the weak lane, Forgiven and Ghost of Paper in the top side, and then punish Fnatic when they made a play, to now switching it over and saying, okay, Caboshot, you're destroying your lane, you're pushing it all the way down. Diamond has been taken over that side of the jungle, he's warded it up, instantly goes in as soon as Huni shows himself. They might be able to get a top tower as well for the tier 2 over there. Fnatic definitely being pressured a lot by Gambit.
I want to go back to what we mentioned in Picks and Bans. The aggressive plays that Gambit can put on the map may be enough to keep Fnatic down. We'll talk about that in a moment. Huni's come in with a phase dive. He's got the Time Winder out as the parallel convergence should be enough to stun Diamond as well as Caboshot. Huni is going to get a Time Winder for 1 and a phase dive for 2.
Okay.
You can play strategically all you want. You can play intelligently all you want, but then the Huni factor happens. And Holo is incredible.
Gambit wanted that tower, took some damage, and instantly Huni can punish them, and that's what this player can do. I don't even care what champion he's playing, he's always performing well. Rainover though, down towards the bottom lane.
Gonna get some revenge and Gosu, or try to. Spell shield from Forgiven, and explosive cask fizzles. It was one of the less impressive ganks we've seen out of Rainover's Gragas.
Not a whole lot of follow-up for Reckless and Yellowstar here. Weren't in a position to throw in the Janna, provide any sort of CC. So once again, Gambit Off to a great start. Trinity Force completed for Cabo Shot. Now he can keep pushing down that lane. Huni with this home guard buy. We talked about how it could work for him if he gets a good teleport off. But obviously it delays his core build otherwise. Sitting in that one-on-one lane. Going for the standard full cooldown reduction though on Echo. And then it's either do you want a team fight?
Again. Take a look. Huni, he's used phase dive already. One of his dashes, there's no flash available, but he does have that time-delayed hologram. He's going to jump back to it as the parallel convergence throws down in the middle. Time winder for a slow. Now Febiven's joined. Huni is going to jump in with phase dive. We see the hammer come down from Febiven, but he's cut off. The Emperor's Divide locks him back. We're going to be looking for those accelerated shock blasts, and it looks like Gambit will get themselves another taste of Huni before getting themselves to safety.
Yeah, once again, they look for him, but he's also playing super aggressive. He invaded into the jungle of Gambit here. Got caught out, tried to turn around with Febiven, but they couldn't get the kill instead. Another one for Gambit. A lot of damage on this mid tower though, because nobody's here to defend. Betsy went back to base, and Forgiven was sitting in the bottom lane, so Fnatic will be able to take a tower for it.
Gambit want to be the gatekeepers. Gambit want to stop Fnatic from going 10-0 once more. But in order to do that, they need to maintain control of this game. They're even in towers, got an extra dragon in kills, but it's not a lot of gold. The farm advantages for both Febiven and Reckless, keeping them relevant as far as that itemization in gold is concerned.
Also just the sheer amount of damage we can get from this Fnatic comp here. Huni going towards the Sheen now. Febiven, we have seen this chase, what it can do. The new and updated version of him will be even stronger in the late game. Got a bit of extra damage on his Shock Blast once he hit that rank 6 at level 11. But bot lane here is open. Fnatic, because they just invested everything into the mid lane, and because they lost the pressure in their own jungle due to Gambit doing a very good job setting up the wards, bot tower goes down. Capture though, should have recalled way earlier to be up around this top side.
So Reckless and Yellow Star, they're coming. Reckless is alone, and he's down! Betsy just 1v1s him, and now he's turned his attention onto Febiven. Febiven, however, will be able to use that shape-shifting weapon and even it out.
Look at the bot lane though, Trevor here. Gambit is still pushing in. They had the wave from before. They still have teleport and Cabo Shot as well. Fnatic, they're very far away, so 1-for-1 in kills. That's another tower now for Gambit in the bot lane.
Gambit want to play gatekeepers and they want to maintain control. Gosu Pepper, Flash, Exhaust, Tibbers is all available. He's going to throw it onto Rainover. Here comes the rest of Fnatic. Parallel Convergence should be able to stun up too, and it does. Febiven and Huni are onto Gosu as well as Forgiven. He's been dropped as Cabo Shot is trying to rampage across the fight. We see the onslaught to Shadows going forward. Huni is picking this fight. He does have that hologram to jump back to. He gets damage onto Cabo as he flashes away. Shield comes up for that Parallel Convergence and no Sonic Wave as he makes it out. 2-for-2 trade. But once again, it's Gambit that just keep playing with Fnatic on the map.
I just love the fact that Gambit keep playing so aggressive here. Every single lane gets pushed in. They keep putting deep wards into the jungle. This is something we've talked about a few weeks now for Gambit, how they place a lot of wards, but it tends to be kind of random all over the map. Don't really have an objective in mind. Now you can see whatever lane they're pressuring, there's multiple wards around it. In this jungle here, Fnatic, they saw everything coming. TP comes in from Cabo Shot. Gambit, they take the fight. They're fine taking because they already got the bot lane tower, and they believe they can even win this fight here. End up trading even Febiven and his damage, and then also Huni just dancing around his Echo with full cooldown reduction. Is kind of annoying to deal with. But Gambit doing a great job so far.
For Gambit at 20 minutes, they got around 2,700 gold in the lead. Deficio, that is the largest amount of gold that Fnatic has been down all split long. We heard from Gosu in the pre-game video, if Fnatic do not bring their 100%, he thought they had a chance to win. And Gosu's right so far. 2 dragons up, a tower up, kills up. So the game is in Gambit's, let's say, I don't want to use the word control, but it's at their tempo. However,
Fnatic special though. Early Baron, they place a pink ward, and if they don't expect you to have any wards nearby, they just start it straight away. Cover shot, he's spawning it. Forgiven is down the bottom lane though, so he's not going to be able to join.
Onslaught of Shadows will be up in just a moment or two. Cabo should be able to get in. Baron's going down. Who gets the kill? It's secured by the Rend. Reckless and Fnatic get Baron at 21 minutes, 10 seconds. What can Forgiven get? He's pushing in the bottom lane, but those empowered recalls will allow Fnatic to get back and defend. And all of a sudden, Fnatic are now back in control.
They do this so often. Play around the top side. They place a pink ward near the Baron and just instantly start it. If you move in to stop them way too early, they know, okay, this is too risky, they just back away. Otherwise, they will secure it here. Forgiven was pushing that bot lane. He didn't expect it. 15 Barons now for Fnatic, and this one was the fastest Baron in the entire EU LCS this split.
I think
it literally just spawned. He was like, hello, I'm Baron, now I'm dead.
A very serious argument could be made that Fnatic have the best Baron calls in the LCS. I see very few teams that use that objective as efficiently or as effectively.
And the worst thing for Gambit, you can see how they were like, oh, Baron is spawned, we have no vision on it, and everyone for Fnatic is gone. We need to rush it right now. But it was already too late because Forgiven was already sitting in a bot lane. And that's the whole thing about, you know, planning ahead. Always looking 1 or 2 minutes in the future.
Deficio, Fnatic are now on the siege with that Baron buff. And it's got all the poke from Febiven's Jason, the wave clear from Gambit. Obviously fairly lengthy with that Azir and Sivir, assuming they don't get poked out.
Also remember, Gambit relies quite a lot on the fact that Cabochard has to be able to TP in from the side with the flank, and then you have that flash tippers which goes to Pepper, and this massive wombo combo, you can just do it like this.
They're going in, Reckless has been stunned up and he's taken out. Cabochard's got the first kill as Huni is trying to put damage on the back line. He's already used the Chrono Break to get away as Betsy has dropped the partner, but that's a double kill from the Shock Blast as Febiven is trying to save Fnatic's hopes. He's got the hammer out and the hammer's down because Betsy sinks in the fangs. And Gambit end up getting a 4-for-2 trade, and they defender inhibit the inner turret against a Baron-empowered Fnatic.
Gambit said we don't need teleport, we don't need Cabochard to flank in, we just pop the Sivir ulti, instant 5-on-5. Fnatic in the end tried to return some damage with him. We're just gonna see the whole thing. Notice here, it just goes to Pepper flashing in, flash tippers onto 2 guys. Reckless is in the front line, so he dies instantly. Now Gambit look to clean it up. Fnatic trying to see if they can turn it around. Febiven is still full HP, beautiful snipe. But then once he jumps in, Betsy denies him, knocks him away. Cabochard as well. And then Gambit ends up taking the fight. Beautiful play, beautiful engage from Edward. Reckless and Huni got locked down. Reckless did no damage that fight. Instantly died.
Sorry, excellent start again. Gambit all of a sudden regained control. It was Fnatic with Baron, it was Fnatic with the advantage. You know, you touched on how many Barons they secured. 16 out of their 9 games in total now, Deficio. They've only conceded 2. For the 16 Barons they secured, their opposing teams have only got 2.
But Gambit don't care about your Baron.
No, they definitely don't.
They're just gonna jump you and kill you. Change in the pick and ban for Gambit compared to the last few weeks. See more of what is considered the very strong picks in the meta. Sivir fits so well with a team that likes to go for early towers and then transition that into team fights when you have a fed top laner and a fed AD carry. In this case, he obviously 0-2 for Forgiven. He's not exactly fed. He had a hard time in the laning phase, but that doesn't really matter because he's playing Sivir. He's more utility focused now. The fact that Cabochard has 4 kills and the fact that Betsy has 6 kills is exactly what Gambit needs to make this comp work here and to keep taking fights, keep engaging onto Fnatic.
And when you actually look at the gold, despite the fact that Forgiven was down that very large CS, he's got around 1,000 gold advantage over Reckless. 0-2-7. See, all of the work that Gambit had put in early in terms of getting Cabo ahead is paying off. And I think very importantly, in contrast to yesterday's game, Gambit are making decisions to go in. I think their team comp is allowing them to do that a little more. And also the Annie into Kalista already showing better than Taric into Kalista. I'm going to be a little more blunt.
Especially once you get to the big team fights.
Yes, those Tibber stuns, significantly more impressive. So a nice adaptation. Dragon's up in 30 seconds. Gambit have got deep wards, and they're trying to set up control.
And this, again, is another improvement for Gambit. Let's see what happens, though. We can talk about it after Huni. Seeing if he can land a stun. Goes to paper, pops the talisman, backspace. But this here from Gambit as well. A lot more focus on what is our objective. Okay, that's where we invest all our wards. Oof. This time around, it's near the dragon. Fnatic though, very quickly cleared it out because now Gambit weren't there to protect them, had to just run away.
Oh! Wow. A bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. As Febiven shocks Gambit, taking Betsy out.
Just about to talk about the fact here that Gambit left the wards they just placed in the jungle because they weren't all there. They were like trying to push 2 lanes at once while placing the wards, so they disengaged. Betsy took so much damage in the mid lane at first, and then Fnatic got a chance to get back in, and they just keep sniping. Febiven is a monster on this. Remember Xerath in the spring split?
The European sniper is what he was called at the beginning of spring. And Gosu is going to get chunked out. Phase dive from Huni gets the kill. Follow that hologram. Huni can re-engage if he wants to. Diamond is now being caught out. He's trying to put damage onto Yellow Star, but it will not be enough. Kill credit to Febiven and that hypercharge. As Fnatic get themselves 2 more and back away. Pepper couldn't even get Tibbers down. That's how quickly Fnatic reacted to him.
It's going to be a 4v5 though. Goes of Paper wanted to engage there too. Super risky play from him. Dragon now for Fnatic, so they stopped the 3-4-5 Dragon strategy for Gambit. That's gone now. At least delayed for another 6 minutes, and also you get that 6% for yourself.
And with those kills, Dragon and Tower, Fnatic with 10 kills on the board. Looking closer to get their 10th win in Summer. It's all on Febiven's poke so far. When he hits those blasts, Fnatic get objectives.
And it's all on how can Gambit engage the fights. Back when Fnatic had the Baron here, we talked about, oh, they really want to have this TP home guard coming in from the flank, then time that with the flash ulti from Ghost of Paper, and you have a fantastic engage. Didn't need both. Just took Ghost of Paper flashing in. He got Reckless, he killed him. Now he used Flash beforehand. He ends up dying before he could even do anything. That means now it's about Capo Shot, and then if Ghost of Paper can run in with the speed from Sivir. But that's going to be a lot harder to then lock down Reckless, catch him out of position, because there's also the Mikhails here from Yellow Star.
Yeah, we saw Cabo in base, those home guards ticking away, looking for somewhere to go in, but Gosu, he's going to need armor soon. One shock blast is melting him, and you actually see Yellow Star as well, picking up those captain boots. So even more. Oh, look at that again. Betsy chunked out. Right,
just
teleport. Cabo wants to find Reckless. Reckless is alone. Cabo's holding the trigger. That's going to be Febiven on the side. Cabo's actually focusing down Febiven. Febiven's been able to flash away, and we see that Gosu Pepper's been dropped. He did manage to get the Tibbers out. Diamond has got so many Ren stacks, and it's not going to pop him, though. We do see Forgiven is going to be on the back line. He's down. Febiven's dashed forward. Febiven found Betsy, and after a messy, messy fight, Gambit lose 4 members. Almost all of them completely split up from one another.
The small mistakes from Gambit, and instantly Fnatic just punish him again and again and again the last few minutes. At first it looked good for Gambit, they won that fight. Then started playing around the Dragon, gave up all the vision on the wards because they weren't there to defend them. Febiven starts sniping them away here, he gets Betsy down. Febiven really is a big hero here for Fnatic. The poke he's landing before every fight is insane.
We're about to hit 30 minutes, and Fnatic now in absolute control of the game. Baron's respawned, super minions down middle. We caught a glimpse there of Daylor, Fnatic's coach. Very serious faces, and here's some of the action that we didn't catch on camera.
All right, let's see. Yeah, so we got TP from Caboshot first, then Huni joins in after. But right here, for Gambit is not able to get onto any key targets. It's Yellow Star and Reno, but that's not who you want to engage on. So for Gambit, never really got to use the Annie. Huni destroys Forgiven. They get a nice kill on Reckless, but that's about it. Because now suddenly, Jace and Kalista could stay safe in the backline. Gambit needs to have all these powers and combine them if they want to destroy that backline of Fnatic. Otherwise, they can always kite back, and simply out-damage or out-duel the Gambit members.
And when Fnatic managed to find Gambit split up, Huni can just run down whoever he wants at this stage. Gosu, again, massive chunk. All of the armor that's built, there's not enough resistance to put up with the damage that Echo can put out, or the poke that Febiven's Jace is putting down.
The thing that happens when you run triple threat comps and you start getting ahead, again, these damage dealers, yeah, you might take out one, but there are 2 other guys who can still win the team fight. I mean, Gambit is somewhat the same with Caboshot on Hecarim, but that's more early to mid-game where his damage is fantastic. Then, because he starts building more and more tanky, you know, obviously his damage is going to fall off at least a little bit. And he's not going to be the same threat, but he should be able to buy more time for the rest of the game. But they just have to time the engage here from Ghost to Pepper with the ulti from Capo Shot. And you gotta one-shot either Febiven or Reckless. Problem is there's a cleanse on one guy, there's a Mikhails for Yellow Star to help the other one.
We did see that Huni was trying to push out that bottom wave. No teleport available for a little while for Huni. And oh, the amount of poke that Febiven can put out means Gambit can't even play the Baron bait game because they'll simply lose with Baron on one side and Febiven on the other. Huni's used that phase dive looking for a target. Betsy forced to defend, and Fnatic are just playing around this massive moving turret that is Febiven. Wait! Huni, wow! So
that's the thing.
When you see how that happened, but Huni got a kill.
When you play poke, it's just about forcing them so low they have to go back and give up all the control. Diamond here, he's caught behind enemy line.
Diamond's down. That was a rough place to be. Fnatic find themselves 2 kills with no smite threat. They're going to turn their sights to Baron. They've got all the poke from Febiven. They've also got the rend from Reckless. Huni's running interference.
So, another pick now. You have to respect against Fnatic. There's already 10, 12 other ones. But Jace as well for Febiven. Yesterday, fantastic. Today, such a solid performance. He's landing every single shock blast over and over, and it's enough to force Gambit so low they have to be careful. Betsy trying to recall, Huni just instantly jumps in, pops back, and then he gets Q on the way out.
And that was through exhaust as well. There are very few words that we can say that we haven't said about Huni when it comes to talking about his impact in the LCS. All right, Diamond, he's going to land the Sonic Wave, but does not want to click the Lee Syndrome that time around.
This Dragon fight here might be what could be the potential turning point for Gambit. TP is ready soon for Capo Shot. Flash is ready. Look at the gold here all game long. Fnatic, decent start. We had that winning top lane for them, or the 2v2 lane. And then Gambit started taking over. They had some great team fights in the mid game. They got to Reckless, they got to Febiven, killed the back line. But then we just see it. One mistake, Fnatic instantly is going to punish you, lead that into a Baron, and boom, suddenly they get ahead. And oh, fight is starting.
Yeah, the last time Fnatic were here, the fight didn't end well. This time around, Gosu's down though, and that will end well for Fnatic. We see Huni's come back in. Yellow Star's channeling the Monsoon as Capo Shot is being focused out by Reckless. Febiven is on the front line, and Huli is going to use that Chrono Break all the way back. Rainova bonks the barrel on Betsy, taking him out, and Fnatic get 3 kills in a tower. They should be able to set themselves up for more as soon as those minions come conga lining in.
Gambit engage. Has to work, otherwise you lose the fight. We've seen it time and time again. Goes to Paper, didn't manage to connect. Capo Shot couldn't join in with a teleport. And Fnatic had to fight for this one.
Gambit were the gatekeepers in 2013.
Not over yet either.
And Gambit are looking like they're going to go down. Super minions pouring through the lanes. Fnatic have got all inhibitors down. They are on the cusp of setting a new European record in a game where they were down at 20 minutes, a larger amount than all previous games this split.
Yeah, really full credit to Gambit and how they played that early to mid game. So much focus on getting down these towers here. Betsy looked very confident in the mid lane. Diamond was reading where Fnatic were going to send the members on the map, and he was able to counter it a few times. So very good start from Gambit. But we just see when you play against Fnatic, again, 1 or 2 mistakes, instantly the game is just turned around. And the individual skill from these Fnatic members, every single one can step up and carry the game. Even Yellow Star, as a support, has had games in the past where you're like MVP right there. This one here still has to be Febiven. It's not over 100% yet for Gambit with no flash on Annie. 3 neighbors is down. I mean, it's hard to find a case.
It should be.
It should be over.
Unless Fnatic make a monumental error, it should be over. 6 super minions getting closer to the base of Gambit. Yellow Star's had 1 death in his 3 Janna games. 3 games. This is looking like it might be the final siege. The poke from Betsy. Poke on towards Betsy, rather. gonna land. Huni jumps in. Betsy's gonna use the Emperor's Divide. We do see Huni jumping backwards, and it goes to Pepper that gets popped. Well, Diamond's trying to pull aggro, but it won't be enough. After Betsy goes golden, he's in retreat. Super Minions are onto the Nexus turret. Reignover's called Forgiven out, and Forgiven will get popped by Febivin. Fnatic are onto the Nexus, and they set a new European winning streak record, going 10-0 in summer. The first team ever to do it.
Trying to shoot a little bit of hype into the end there, but I mean, Win Inhibitors is down with how well Fnatic's been playing. Everyone could see, and even Gambit, they know it's not about that last fight. The game is over right here. We have to try something, but it's looking back, you know, what happened 10 minutes ago where Gambit were in the driving seat. Just had that fantastic engage. Start setting up around that dragon, that's where it goes wrong the first time. Betsy gets sniped out by Febivin, and slowly but surely, always just something missing for Gambit in the last few team fights. And then it was too late in the end.
Very clearly the record keepers, the Shoutcast is a little more excited in that 10-0, but you could see the look of focus on Fnatic's face. I want to call back to a couple of games a few weeks ago where Fnatic also had some struggles early, and Reckless was extremely outspoken on social media saying, really disappointed in my performance, really unhappy with that game. This is a team that's gone 10-0, and even after a win where they came back from behind, they're still sitting going, we could have won that better. We could have played. Right. You can see it on their eyes. And I think that's a big reason as to why this team is currently undefeated in summer.
Yeah, always looking at what can you improve, and also what's going to be the next important thing. I mean, Fnatic's, of course, already looking at the playoffs. Want to secure that spot at Worlds, preferably the first seed, by winning the entire EU LCS here in the summer split. That's obviously going to be the focus, and then you look towards Worlds itself and what you can do. So like, there are still a lot of things that Fnatic probably feel they can keep improving on. Question is, can some of the other EU LCS teams challenge them enough to really, you know, showcase some of these potential problems that could be for Fnatic? Gambit here had a good start. A lot of other teams though have managed to not really show anything, where Fnatic just controls the game from level 1.
Fnatic have found ways in picks and bans to neutralize their opponents. Fnatic have snowballed early leads. Fnatic have played patient. They've played aggressive. Today, they played from the bigger deficit they have. I can't wait to see what these weaknesses are, and somebody's going to have to figure it out. Maybe the guys on the analyst desk can, though, because we're going to take a second look at that record-setting win by heading over to those guys.
Thank you so much. Quick shot. Yeah, a lot of good things to say about Fnatic, and we'll get into that in just a minute, because I do want to focus on Gambit. Not quite keeping the gates for them, but a lot of improvements. I want to start with the draft immediately. We see a lot of teams just going for banning out Huni almost entirely, but Rek'Sai, Olaf trying to target Rek'Sai rather, Reignover in there, a different approach, and just overall a better draft.
I really liked the draft this time out of Gambit. Okay, maybe they put themselves in some tough lane matchups, but I think the way they ended up playing the composition from it to get the towers early was a lot better. Their priority on picks, Sivir, Azir in the first rotation. Yesterday it was Nidalee, Corki. I think whoever helped, well, whoever worked on the Gambit draft today did a much better job, and it showed in the early game.
Well, definitely Sean's will have a hand in that. Coming back maybe to the jungle bans, of course, Rek'Sai, Olaf, Reignover's favorite. They still give up Gragas as a first pick, and it did seem that Reignover was a bit less comfortable than we have seen him in the last couple of games.
See, I don't think Reignover is necessarily uncomfortable on Gragas as a pick. I think he can play pretty much anything. However, I must know that I feel this was one of Reignover's worst performances. Still good. Like, let's stress this. This was a solid performance. However, his early game was shaky. This is the first time I've seen Reignover not have the most impact in the game. I feel he was ganking the wrong lanes. It's obviously my opinion. Maybe Fnatic knows better. But I feel you shouldn't be spending that much time trying to gank a Sivir lane with Spell Shield when your support is Janna. Janna is really good at peeling and defensive capabilities, but in the offensive department, she lacks a little bit of things. And I feel that the early game could have been played out better for Fnatic, but this is just what makes them a fantastic team, and I like them. I like to see Fnatic go down early in gold and then see how resilient are they, because at Worlds, eventually, somebody will challenge them, and it just shows that all they need is just one Baron and just one opportunity to just sneak that Baron and they get back into the game.
And that right there is what is absolutely separating Fnatic, even from H2K and Origin, in my mind, is that decisiveness. How many times will we ever see a team say, hey, we're behind, let's not focus on small things, but as a team, what are we strong with? We can get this Baron as it spawns because Gambit not quite in position, and then from behind, take a Baron and turn the game around. Very calm and collected.
Yeah, and all in all, I think this was a fantastic game, and we have two replays prepared to just show why it was so much fun to watch this. And get the first one immediately on your screen. There was a lot of skirmishing going on. Suddenly, Gambit was ahead, Fnatic was ahead, and this was one of the fights over in the bot lane where Gambit knew Fnatic was coming. So Rainover goes in, and everybody's almost playing this perfectly, but there's so many little up plays. Diamondbox connects to Kick, connects to Yellowstar, then switches the kill to Gragas. Meanwhile, in the bottom of your screen, you see Huni taking down left and right, and Febiven goes down to the Cabochard. Watch Huni right now. He's going to preemptively try and juke the Q from Diamondbox. He thinks he comes out, then he flashes again. He's juking left and right. It's so hard to catch this nimble Huni, and so many outplays left, right, and center from both teams. And I'm just very impressed with the level of play that came out. Obviously, Gambit still have a lot of things to work on, but we touched on it earlier. We asked the people out there, which team is going to make that surge to the middle of the standings, and the way Gambit played today, it very might well be them.
Yeah, quite a good example of that is also when they had to defend rather their bottom turret, which we have an example of as well, because they know how to play their comp, and at this instant they executed it very well. So we're going to get that replay up on the screen.
Yeah, we will. This was at Fnatic get a little bit caught up pushing up. You can see Reckless, he had a lot of focus on him this game, but Fnatic, while they were attempting to kite back, you can see Febiven still hasn't really unloaded any of his damage until the Shock Blast, which did end up too. But keep your eyes on Betsy here. As the To The Skies comes in from Febiven, crucial. He forces Febiven to flash over the wall, picking himself up a triple. That was so well played by Betsy, and I think I can't really sing Betsy's praises enough for this game. I think he actually had a fantastic Azir game.
I think he did very well, and he actually ended up this game with the most kills he's had so far in the split, but his lane opponent, honestly, is underrated. Febiven is such a rock. He's so solid, and that's why we often overlook him or forget to talk about him, because there's always somebody shining on Fnatic. Whether it's Huni, whether it's Yellowstar, you know, carrying the pace there, or Rainover just ganking everybody. But I've yet to see Febiven just fail, just fall behind, or choke anything. He's such a solid player, and I've been watching him in these fights, and every time somebody from Fnatic goes down, Febiven was there to clean up. So whenever Reckless went down, Febiven would kill that guy. So you trade kill for kill plus assist every single fight. And then at the end of the game, yeah, he almost made it seem like Jace has targeted skill shots, because he maybe missed one Shock Blast out of 20, and is such an impressive player.
So impressive, especially in the mid game when it was still pretty even. That one Shock Blast on goes to Pepper, and they just went in. When it comes to individual performances, Echo, it is a strong champion, but seeing Huni play it is very impressive. And we were actually noting during that last fight, the best way is actually to ignore him in that fight, because that is when Gambit had the best results.
Yeah, at one point, if you don't have enough target CC lockdown to keep him locked up, without preventing him to use his ulti, that's how you kill Echo, but it is so hard. And if you give him one second or half a second even, he will just press R or Zhonya's and ulti out, and then all your damage is wasted essentially. So what you want to do is kill the enemy team before Echo kills you. But yeah, it proves very difficult, especially against Huni. He has those styling kills where he just backs out and then he lets his Q finish it off just for styling points, and yeah, just mastery of the champion.
Yeah, fantastic. But Gambit putting up a very, very good fight. And actually today we wanted to know who you think is poised for a late season surge. And at Anivitas actually wrote, Gambit, they have the talent, they just need to polish it. They can make a gigantic comeback rather, and it definitely showed in this game. Well, we saw them give Fnatic a run for their money in the early game and have to build on that. Now, coming up next, Roccat will look to take down the Unicorns of Love and go 2-0 on the week. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
I think Bora hasn't died in the last 5 games or something like this.
No, it's like last 3 games. Make sure to keep run away.
Running, yeah. Running 24/7.
And then let's our AD carry die.
Why did no one flash in front of the Varus ulti, by the way?
Sorry. The parallel convergence should be enough to stun Diamond as well as Cabochard.
Oh, nice.
Good job. You wanna stay? You wanna stay?
Febiven and Huni are on to Gosu as well as Forgiven. He's been dropped as Cabochard is trying to rampage across the fight.
Jonah?
I guess that's one, I guess that's one. I think
Gragas. Oh my.
Finish Huni. Kill Jace.
No! I'm moving.
What about Sivir?
Look at here. I got it. Azir low,
Guys,
help
group
this
up,
guy.
group.
Listen to flash.
Group up, go Huni, go Huni.
I'm moving.
Huni, come.
Nice.
Fnatic are onto the Nexus, and they set a new European winning streak record. 10-0 in Summer The first team ever to do it.